Well, basically, I think what I said to you was that I'm feeling, I guess, like anxiety about approaching the music stuff again. Well, yeah, because basically, like, I have to get ready for this show on the 16th, and for that show, because it's slightly conceptual and like thematic, because it's a 3-part event, Trishna, that I'm doing with Dembski, and the first part is called creation, then it's preservation, then it's destruction. So because of the type of space that it is, it's going to be this kind of small kind of underground venue where we're going to have visuals and things, and like it's not going to be my usual kind of, you know, boisterous type of show. I feel like it's not going to be me diving about the place. I probably still will a little bit, but it's not going to be the same type of vibe. So I kind of wanted to use that as a chance to do something that I wouldn't usually do. So I feel like I do want to make it a bit more loops based and kind of live electronic based, which is something that I've been fucking about with a little bit with my more recent shows. But basically, like, after I started drawing, I kind of realized that relaxes me. So that's like what I realized about that. It's because it's very, like, we talked about this before, where it's like it's physical. It's like I'm just putting pen to paper, and there's something very meditative about that. But then when I go into the DAW, it's not. Like, I start to feel like the pressure of it for some reason. And I think it's probably partly because music is something that I've produced to a professional standard before. So there's definitely like a pressure to kind of polish everything. And because where I feel the hesitation is actually not, funnily enough, it's not writing the stuff. Like, it's because recently when I gave myself that challenge of like, okay, I'm gonna just strip everything back to really like give myself like severe limitations and say like, I can only use like a square wave lead, some kind of bass pad, and my voice, that's it. The key is C# minor, the length is 2.5 minutes. And I came up with something in like 30 minutes or something. Like, it was very, very short. I laid down the vocal in one take. And because I was working within these constraints, and then I was like, oh, this is actually kind of a vibe. I quite like it, even though it feels a bit exposed and raw. But then, for example, I sent it to my friend as well, Vander, who has done a lot of my mastering in the past. And he was saying, and this is no shade to him or whatever, because it's his opinion, but he was like, this sounds like the great kind of like start of a track, or like you could develop it, you could do this, you could add like trance synths, you could do this. But then I was kind of thinking, no, that's like, that's not the point of this. Like, the point of this is to not overproduce it. But I think obviously he also knows what my usual thing would be, and that would be bang on the money, is to probably take it somewhere like that, because he's used to what I've been doing until now. So it wasn't even like a criticism. It was just him being like, oh, you could maybe do this, which I love. I love that input. But it threw me off track, because then I started thinking, oh, maybe it should be like really produced and have like trance synths coming in. And then he was like, you should definitely re-record the vocal and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I probably should. But then if I re-record the vocal, I'm not going to have that vibe that I had originally. And this is where it fucks up for me. This point. The point where I start thinking about, oh, like, yeah, but I'm going to have to make it like professional sounding. Oh, then I'm not going to be able to have the vibe that I originally had. So if I can't capture the original vibe again, it's going to be pressure. And then I'm just going to, and then that's the point where often tracks will just die. Because I'm like, I can't release it now because it's too raw and it's too demo-like. And I can't get it to the ideal state that's now been implanted in my head. Therefore, fuck it. Just don't do anything with it. And that's, you know what I mean? And it's this kind of constant fight with with myself. And I think that's where I'd like to juxtapose the drawing, because, you know, there's kind of endless possibility at the beginning of the process. You don't know what you're going to draw. I often don't know what I'm going to draw before I draw it. I rarely make a plan, to be honest. It's just like, I'll usually start with a shape, which is often a circle. I like circles. So that's starting with circles. And then I'm like, that's my boundary. And maybe I'll go in with a pencil and get some kind of general shape, and then I'll just go in with red pen. And then once I'm locked in with the red pen, it's like, that's it. It's like I can't go back, I can't change it. And there's a real peace in that, because it's kind of like, I'm just locked in now, and it's going to go where it's going to go, and it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But when it's music, it can always be tweaked, and it can be changed, and you can do this, and you could produce it better, you could do whatever. But I don't know. Anyway, that was a huge monologue.
It was, and I loved it, and I was trying to absorb everything, and give you time to.
What do you think? What do you think about that? Because I already know that you've definitely been there, or maybe you still are there with it as well.
Yeah, I have so many thoughts. And I've definitely been there. I think I did have a quick question. Would you say you care about music more than art? I know it's kind of a weird question, but like, does that make sense? Like,
that does make sense, and I've never actually thought about that in such a simple way. Do I care about it more? I think that's a yes and no answer. And on the surface, no. Like, on the surface, to me, it's all one thing. It's like my creative output, it all kind of links in. There's always been a visual and audio element to the things that I produce. There always has been. And there's always been this interconnectedness between them. However, I would say that my identity up until now has been more linked with being able to make music or not. Because that's where I found my first kind of taste of some kind of success or momentum, when I was in my band Surgeon. And when that started to take off, I was like, oh, so this is what I am. And that started to feed like my confidence, and then my confidence became linked to being in that. So there could be something, it's not about it being more important in terms of like I have a strong leaning either way, because they're both incredibly important to me. But I think one maybe might be more connected to the ego or the self, more so than the other.
Yeah, that's like that keyword pops out immediately, because I feel that too. Like you said, identity, and like when you're sharing music and something you can go back to and tweak it for 10 years on the same song, and constantly iterate and put out all these different versions of it. But at the end of the day, it's super connected to your identity. So it's like more vulnerable in a way, where like if there's parts that don't match the ideal in your head, it's like creating this gap where it's like, oh man, like I know it should be here and this is how I want to be perceived, but I'm putting it out where it's not good enough, which means like I'm not good enough. And then like people will think, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it kind of like snowballs into this like destructive like cycle of like, it's not just about the song, it's actually about a piece of me.
Yeah, it's about you. Yeah, as a person as well, like on a deep level. Like it's not just like this is something I've made, it's like this is me. Therefore, if it's not up to my expectations, it really is just textbook perfectionism. And like that's really what it's about when it comes down to not just the thing not matching your expectations, it's you yourself are not meeting your expectations. But it's funny how that can differ between medium though.
That's what I mean. That's what's weird, because like I feel like I get the same when I hop into the DAW. I freeze up, and like I'll have like all these ideas. Like with my guitar, it's very intuitive, and then I go to the DAW and it just falls apart, and I feel worthless. And I don't know why that is, but maybe to other people it sounds fine. And it's a case of perfectionism and just overthinking things. I have like, I can't help but think like, does every project or like every song that you put out in like the DAW, like this is something I've been on lately and it's helped me a lot with like art, music, whatever. But does it really need to be perfect and mixed every single thing that you put out? Like, I feel like it shouldn't. Everything shouldn't be perfect and mixed. Like putting out mixtapes in a way, almost like, I don't want to say like rough cuts, demos, but it's more raw, like V1 of like something you're working on. Especially now, like everything is so perfect. AI and just online, you look at like perfect edits of videos, and I think people are getting tired of it. Like I noticed this shift with like visual art where things are just looking nostalgic core, you know?
Yeah.
Or a core nostalgia. Yeah, and like music, I don't think is immune to that. Where putting out like a demo style mixtape where it kind of sounds raw. Like it's like, oh man, that sounds like Blink-182 Cheshire Cat garage recording. Like,
Yeah, well, I mean,
I love it.
No, there really is something to that, and I don't know why I can't let myself do that. Like that's
Yeah, like you know,
because I know that like that's cool. Like I objectively can be like, I think that's actually a really cool idea, but there's something that feels like I'm letting myself down by doing that, and it's really, it's quite silly. I think it really just comes down to like how far back music goes in terms of me kind of finding something that I'm good at. Like, and it goes back to like, and we're talking, I started making electronic music when I was like 14, and then it was like that was a time when I was being severely bullied at school. Like it was like bad time of my life, and then the music was like the one thing that I was like, this is something that I know I can do, so this is the one thing that I can like prove my worth with. And I think that hasn't really left me, and it's actually, but it's not a good thing. Like you'd think that would be a positive thing, and I think in a lot of ways it was when it was happening, and I had the momentum. Like when I made like I released my first solo EP when I was 19, which then like. Very shortly after that, Surgeon started, and then that's when I started playing live. That's when I started going on tour. That's when things just kind of took off like very, very quickly, and then I found myself being like, oh, I'm actually doing this kind of like semi-professionally. And then then I was like, okay, well, this is, I guess, like this is where all my confidence came from. All of it came from that stage persona and being part of this thing. But inside, I still hated myself. So it's like, I think that it's really difficult for me to, like, because I've already got albums out. And it's funny because no one cares. It's like, it's not that I'm, like, I'm not super well known or anything like that, apart from like people who are into a very niche type of thing who might know the band, but like it's not like people are going to be like, okay, this was your album, because the second album and our last album came out in 2014. It's like over 10 years ago. No one's going to be looking at that and then comparing it to what I'm doing now. Like the connection is not even really there, but for some reason I'm like, when I was talking with my best friend in Scotland, we always used to say, you're only as good as your last album. And yes, but also that's no way to live. Like, I think that was something, I used to be powered by that. I must always be better than, and I really thrived on that sense of like competition and like with myself as well, of being like, I need to kill it with this new thing, because if I don't, then I'm done. But then now that I've gotten older and I've started to kind of like get to know myself better and stuff, I'm like, I don't know if that's, not that I don't know, I know that's not the way, because it's kept me completely paralyzed for the last 7 years, 8 years or something like that, of just not being able to like commit to it completely, and then show everything that I'm doing for fear of it being like coming across like, if it's not well mixed, if it's not well produced, then I was a fraud the whole time.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Classic imposter syndrome, right?
Classic imposter syndrome. But I actually think that the thing that I'm best at is, because I was never the best mixing engineer anyway. Never. I did mix the Surgeon albums myself, but I didn't. It was never. I'm not a super. I struggled for about 10 minutes to get this fucking screen recording working. I'm not a tech person. I've never been a tech person, but for some reason, that also became like, I must do everything myself. I must mix, produce, write. Like, because if I don't do everything myself, then I'm somehow a failure, which is really silly. So the two singles that I've put out, my solo singles, they've both been mixed with the help of other people. So that was like my first time really being like, I'm going to rely on someone else to help me with this, which actually did feel good. It had its own challenges, obviously. But yeah, I wish I could just let it go and just release stuff that's. I think I told you this before when we were talking privately, like, over dinner or something like that. I'm almost getting to the point now where I'm getting so sick of myself that I'm actually wanting to release things that are bad.
Dude, it's like the anti-song in a way, like.
Yeah, like this is bad. I know it's bad. It's badly mixed. It's badly recorded, and I'm putting it out. As almost like as a kind of, it's not self-destructive. Like, it doesn't mean putting out something that's liberating. Complete shit, but it's all, it's liberating. It's more kind of like, okay, so let's do something that's deliberately flawed. Dude, in a sense.
This is like a mental model, like reverse thinking, where like, in order to find a solution,
like, kind of imperfectionism, or I'm sure that's not at all novel, but that idea of like deliberate flaw.
And it's like it kind of releases the mental binds that we put on ourselves,
right?
Because like, it's like when I was in high school, I played in a pop punk band, right? And like, we had like a rival in high school where they were like the hardcore band, or like they're heavy metal, and we were like, that's like, their music's stupid, like our music's so much better. But we decided to write a heavy metal song as a joke, but it ended up being fucking good. Like, right, because we were trying to make it a joke, we weren't being serious about it, and like, we get in our heads so much, and like, again, I'm not saying anything novel, but we just need to get out of our own way. And like, there's so many stories we tell ourselves. Like, I'm really like recently very careful with like the words and stories that I tell myself, whether it's like something like, I suck at mixing, or I feel vulnerable doing this thing. If you keep telling yourself that, like, your body's just going to feel that way, and like that just spills into all your creative work. So I think it's like part mindset shift and like part personality change, and then like how you were describing, I couldn't help but think it sounded like when you were 14, music was like a great escape, but maybe like part of that trauma like followed, and it's like, no, you're supposed to stay there. So like, when you're sharing something, you have that trauma, like, where you're putting yourself out there, and it needs to be perfect, because if it's not, you're gonna get bullied, or worse, right?
Right. Yeah. No. Like. Yeah. I think there probably is something like very kind of like fundamental there, where it's linked to that time of, this is the way that I'm good and worthwhile. Yeah. So if it's not, then I'm not. Yeah, I think there really is like a kind of, there's probably something in that, I think. But yeah, it's no way to live, and it's certainly no way to create, because it just creates an endless stream of stuff on your hard drive that you're not sharing. Even though you think it's like, I've got so many things that I'm like, this is a cool idea, I wish I could finish and produce it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wonder if I completely just, like you said, kind of like reverse engineered it and was like, oh, this is not finished, therefore I will release it. Or something like something like that, where it's almost like the qualifying factor is not polish, it's grit or something like that. Like, because I think the qualifier has to be different.
Yeah. It's like, it makes it seem like, or it frames it in a way that like is intention. So if like intentional, so if somebody's like, oh, that's like not mixed right, it'd be like, well, yeah, dude, it's not supposed to be. It's intentional.
Right.
You're
well,
kind of
yeah.
safe.
Yeah, exactly. There is almost something in that. And you also mentioned like humor and something being a joke, and then it ended up being good. I actually think there's something to that as well, because like Surgeon started as a joke. Surgeon did not start out of like us being really serious. It was literally a joke. Like me and my friend Ollie, who's a writer, and he wrote all the lyrics for Surgeon. Like we had, we talked about, after I released my first solo EP, and he was interested in the music that I was making, and he was a writer, so I was like, well, it would be funny if you wrote lyrics and I did the music. And then we had a couple of really ridiculous names. I think we were called Coma Cage at some point. That is an awful name. I think we were called Noise Boys at one point, which is one of the gayest things I've ever heard in my life. And
Noise Boy.
yeah, I actually think Noise Boys ended up being a thing. I think someone else called themselves that. I don't know. Anyway, it was awful. But then the joke part comes in, is I was at Ollie's house one day, and he was playing BioShock, and he goes into this area where it's Dr. Steinman's like hospital, and then on the floor in blood it says, "Aesthetics are a moral imperative." And it was basically like this thing just kind of clicked, and because I don't know if you know the movie Party Monster. It was about the club kid scene in the 90s in New York, like Michael Alec, and like a glamorization of what was a real crime, where he basically murdered his drug dealer and stuff. So it was all very dark, but it was very glamorous, and I was very into like the club kid and drag thing back in the day. So this kind of thing happened where we were like, what if we took the violence of this BioShock game, of this mad surgeon who's like deforming people or in the pursuit of beauty, and then we merged that with club culture and gender bending and things like that. So the slogan "Beauty is Agony" was born, and we kind of created these characters where we were these mad, kind of beauty obsessed, narcissistic maniacs, and then we kind of basically created a universe around that, and then music around it. But it all started it was so ridiculous that we didn't take it. We took it seriously in the sense that we wanted to do it well, but we didn't take ourselves seriously. So things just kind of like happened. Oh, what if we did that? What if we did that? And it was all just very funny. And that is where that's where it happened. Something about it clicked with the zeitgeist at the time. And people really resonated with it. They thought it was crazy. They thought it was funny, and they thought it was cool. And then we had merchandise with like "Beauty is Agony," like, and people would come to the shows where it became this like thing that people wanted to be involved in. But it started because it was funny, and I think that when you come from that place of humor, or that place of like, I'm not taking this too seriously, it just kind of flows out rather than being forced, which I think is the point.
Dude, oh my god, that's like such like a good this is like Joseph Campbell, Follow Your Bliss. Like fun. It like, imagine like where you are creating the perfect mix every time and it takes 2 months, 2 weeks, whatever. But that's no way to live. Like, that's not fun. That's like, it turns into a 9 to 5.
Not fun.
And like,
Not
no,
fun.
like this should be extremely fun. And I think that's why I've been so like in flow with content, because I like social media content.
You've been really like hammering it out recently, I've noticed.
Yeah, thank you. And it's weird because I always fucking hated social media, and I still like, I don't love it, but I'm having a lot of fun with it because that's what I'm prioritizing. I'm just like leaning into like the intuition of it, and like I'm not thinking about algorithms or likes or anything. I'm just like, I really feel drawn today to make this like editorial style carousel ad, or not ad, but like carousel post. And I don't know why. I don't care how it fits into my brand or not, but it feels fun.
Yeah.
And I'm having fun. Like, I have like 3 more ideas that are all fun, and like they're strangely linking together in a way, but it's
natural.
Outside of, yeah, it's natural. And like same with music, right? Like when I'm with my guitar, just like flow, and like there's no red button flashing. It's just fun. But like that's the best music that comes out. So it's like, I would never want, if I want to do full-time art, music, whatever, I never want it to be not fun. I don't know if that's unreasonable.
No, I think it sounds so obvious when you say it, but at the same time, it's very easy to lose track of that. Like, because when it becomes this thing that it's like, I'm trying to prove myself with it, I'm trying to make a statement, or what, we all, we want to say something, whether that's funny or whatever. At the end of the day, what we're doing as artists and creative people is we're communicating. So there's a I guess a desire to control what we're saying and how it's being said, and also how it's being perceived, which we can never control. But I actually think, going back to what you've been posting recently, ironically, and this maybe is the real irony of it, I feel like it is very branded, but I don't feel like it's branded in a way that feels forced. It's just that this is what you're naturally wanting to create, and it's coming across as consistent because it's just what you naturally want to create. Not because you're thinking like, and I know I've done this and been like, this color palette doesn't match my brand, therefore I can't post this. And it's like, well, yeah, but what if I feel like that's just what I want to post that day? I mean, I think that there is something to be said for brand. And I could link that back to Surgeon as well, because that was not a band, that was a brand, and it was designed to be one. But I think there's also something to be said for just making what the fuck you want, and having that just kind of work itself out. Because, I think if you're starting with, the end goal in mind, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it depends on, like, I don't know. I just think that if it becomes too curated, it becomes almost like, it becomes inauthentic by nature, because, like, you're curating it too much. It's too much like, I want to be seen in this way, there, and therefore I'll do this. Whereas I think your new content, to me, comes across as very, like, this is fully what I just feel like today, but there's it doesn't feel forced at all. It genuinely feels like you are just being playful with it, which is different.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and it feels different. I'm really happy that you're picking up on that, because that's how it feels. And again, I don't care. Like, literally, it's just fun. Like, it feels like creative, like the same play I always had with art and music. It's just playful. And I think, what was I gonna say? Like, there's a part of me that, like, I think before I always try, like you were saying, you have this perfect plan of how it should be. Like, these are the colors, this is the font, this is like the tone of voice, this is my mission. It's all laid out, and it's like this perfect plan in a package. And I would do it for like a week, a month, but I would lose steam because I thought it was like ADHD or something. But honestly, I don't really care. Like, what if it was just, I was shifting focus and I was more interested in other things. And I felt like I put myself in a box where I had to create in this particular style, otherwise I'd be breaking the mold.
Right.
So if you over curate yourself as an artist, I mean, that's what galleries are for, and editors. The artist.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah, like it's our job to lean into the gut and whatever the day is feeling like. Yeah, and like with music too, if it doesn't sound perfect, you know, that's curation in a way.
I think, yeah, I do. It's really interesting that kind of the distinction between artist and editor, because I think nowadays, if you are like a solo artist or whatever, you kind of have to also be your own editor. So it's quite difficult to sometimes put the right hat on, because sometimes you can actually edit before you even create. And I think that's where the lock happens, is where you're kind of like, you're already trying to fit this thing that doesn't even exist yet into a mold that you've created, and then it creates all kind of expectation, and it shuts down the very necessary free play creative process.
Spontaneity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like it should be more like, you know, play first and then figure it out later, like how it's going to fit into something, like, because otherwise you're, you know, like you can't write a book and edit it at the same time. It would take you forever. So I mean, I feel like that's a good way to kind of visualize that, I suppose. It's like you can't edit something that doesn't exist, it's not down on the page yet. Which is why I think that DAWs are so dangerous, actually, because you can literally edit when you don't have anything. It's like you can make a loop and then you can just keep editing that, and then it never becomes anything other than a loop. So yeah, I do think it's a sticking point. And for example, like one of the things that I get really stuck on, that I've always been stuck on, is volume. And that sounds so ridiculous, but like, for example, nowadays with like, especially streaming platforms and stuff, it's like the loudness wars. If your stuff isn't loud enough, it won't get played or whatever. This fear that if it's not basically, you know, bouncing out of your speakers, that it's somehow not a legitimate piece of music anymore. And like, that is something that does actually really bother me. Like when I released Burn, I noticed that it was quite noticeably lower than the rest of the stuff that was being streamed on my own liked playlists or whatever. And then I was like, oh fuck, I fucked it. And then that made me feel like I'd failed. Like, even though people were like, oh, the production of this is really good, like it sounds great, I'm like, yeah, but it's too quiet, so I guess I fucked it.
So like
that one thing, that one element could, for me, completely make me feel like I fucked it.
Man, this is like circling back to your imperfection, imperfection on purpose.
Let me make a song that's fucking the lowest thing you've ever heard. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like I want to do that, because I feel like the one thing that I've really noticed, and it's not just about my creative life, it's just about my life in general. Something that I've really noticed is that forcing things doesn't work. And it feels like the more you try and make something one way, the more it goes the other way. Like it's kind of like a law of the universe or something. So the more that you kind of try to like control, like, my track must be the loudest. Maybe you could control it. Maybe you could get like a really fucking amazing mastering engineer who knows exactly how to push that shit off the charts, and then you could control it. But it always seems like such an exhausting grappling with these things, like these elements, and I think it creates an exhaustion that then, sorry, I'm really going off, but like it creates an exhaustion that maybe links back to the original point, which is that's where the apprehension is coming from, because I can anticipate the exhaustion of this overthinking, which makes me not want to do it in the first place.
I've avoided so much work because I know there's, you know, my version of that it's like it's difficult to go through that mud. It's gross. I hate.
And it's
like,
not fun.
I love making music. Yeah, it's not fun.
That's the
right,
point.
It's not fun.
To what you said, it's not fun. That process of, is it loud enough? Is it loud enough? It feels so. I can feel my actual body tensing up when I'm talking about it. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel creative. It feels actually torturous. And then it sucks all the joy out of it.
Dude, there's like artists do this all the time, right? Like you can look like the only person I'm thinking of right now is Picasso, of course, because everybody thinks Picasso, but like he, painted these beautiful works, and then like he has like the quote, like, it took me 4 years to paint like, I don't know, like Raphael, but then it took me a lifetime to learn how to paint like a child. And I think it's a common thread with like people who become like really, really good in their field. There's this tendency to like draw back and like try to search the source inspiration, or try to do it childlike again, especially in creative work.
Like beginner's mindset, like, almost.
Yeah, kind of, or just like beginner's inspiration and get beginner's play, where like maybe with your music you've been chasing that perfection for so long, and now you're at this point where you're like, I need to like go back to my roots in a way and refine the spark, and like I need the permission slip to do that and be imperfect and messy, because like, oh, man, when you're like curating everything and trying to make it perfect, you're really shutting the door on like serendipity and magical moments, because you're like, no, it has to be this way. But to get woo-woo, the universe is like, no, but we got this beautiful thing. And if it's really that good and that raw and that authentic, I don't think the fucking mix matters. People are just going to hear the truth and be like, this is good. This hits.
I mean,
right?
Yeah, because I mean, people don't hear mixes. This is the whole irony of this. Is regular people who just listen to music and they don't play music or mix music or produce it. People are not listening and being like, ooh, kick drum is a bit tinny. Like, people don't think about that. They might think, oh, this doesn't really slap.
Yeah.
They might think, oh, the vibe is off. This doesn't have enough. If we're talking about club music, for example, this doesn't really have a driving feel to it. Whatever. Mm-hmm. People might pick up on that, but they're going to pick up on that in an energetic way, not in a technical way, unless they're producers. So what I'm trying to say is like, we're fucking with the vibe of something, not the mix. And if something is really, really, really well produced, but it's flat energetically, in terms of like it doesn't feel inspired, it doesn't really speak to anything, then it's just going to be a nice sounding stale piece of bread, like, basically. Like, that's a really bad metaphor, but but basically it's going to sound stale. It's not going to inspire you. It's not going to do anything, even if the bass is perfectly matched with the kick, and all of the frequencies are well represented and nothing's clashing. If it's just a bland piece of music, it's still going to be a bland piece of music. Then on the contrary, there's plenty of bands I listen to that are not well mixed.
Yeah.
Plenty.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Salem is like a witch house act that I quite like. And their production is certainly not bad. I wouldn't consider it bad production, but some of it is fucking muddy as fuck. It's really a mudslide. But that is actually the point. Like, that's actually like the mood comes from the fact that it sounds like you're on drugs. Like, because it sounds like it sounds messy. But because I can tell you there's a track called King Knight by Salem, which I can tell you right now, if that was mixed well, it would not hit. It wouldn't hit.
Dude, it's like people that remaster classic songs about like an era and a band, and the fans don't like it because like you took away the soul or something.
Yeah, that was my friend. Like, my friend was talking about In Flames. I think we talked about this recently. Like, In Flames, I think, was the band that kind of like redid an album, or redid their first album, remastered it or something. The fans were like, nope, because because you've listened to something so much. This is also this is another point. So like, I think this works two ways. when fans get used to particular mixes of music, for example, like the first, like they love this band, they released their first album, it sounds like it was recorded in the back of a fucking fish and chip shop, you know, and it sounds like shit, but the music is a vibe and they vibe with it, they fuck with it, they listen to it for years, they grow up with it as teenagers, whatever. They're now in their 30s, the band tries to re-release it and they're like, no, because that original vibe is not in it. It sounds like it's trying to be something else, which therefore kind of makes it a little bit repulsive. It sounds inauthentic, even though the band actually thinks maybe if we do this, you know, we remaster this, it'll sound even better. Yes, technically speaking it will, but in terms of vibe, it won't. And similarly, if you're a producer, you're making a demo, and you get really into, this happens to me all the time, and this might be the sticking point. When I make a demo, that demo that I made recently, that I sent you, that really like raw, you know, one vocal take thing, right? Vocals,
I love
out, like coming in and out of key, whatever, who cares?
I loved it, it's great.
It's a vibe. I was listening to it and being like, that is a vibe, because that came out of me without me even really thinking about it. Now, I've listened to that so many times, I'm used to that, right? So if I try and, if I even just saying this is creating anxiety within me. If I go to a studio and try to redo that vocal performance, I mean, it's not a hard vocal, right? I could, in terms of technique, it wouldn't take me a lot to do it, but I wouldn't be quite where I was when I did it originally. So, and I think I probably should try and redo it, right? For the sake of trying to get a nicer recording of it. But doing that to me doesn't feel like it's going to be fun. But recording the first one was fun because I didn't know what was going to happen. So that kind of like spontaneity, so that kind of getting married to the original source material in the way that fans do if a band releases an album that's kind of a bit, you know, shoddily produced or whatever. But then also as a producer, when you get used to that thing that you've made that was raw, that was real, and then you try to recreate it out of this sense of, I must up the production value, you sometimes lose, I dare say often lose, the thing that made it magical in the first place. Whether it was just the fact that it was like 1 o'clock in the morning and you were feeling a bit depressed and you recorded this vocal and there was some soul in it because you were feeling that. So when you try to recreate it when you're having a great day, for example, it might not have the same quite the same feeling. You might get close, but there's little vocal cracks and little going off key and things like that that actually show emotion, not necessarily technique. So I think there's maybe something to that as well.
Absolutely. I mean, like, I think everybody, it's an echo chamber of like, you need to do this and that, and, you know, have these dynamics, and then like, you know, do this trick here, otherwise you're doing it all wrong. And of course AI and everything that's making it worse, and it's just an echo chamber of perfection and like comparison. And there needs to be more soul. It's like the CDs that like they keep those parts where it's just the band members talking before they start recording. You know,
I love that.
Yeah, back and forth banter.
Yeah. Or just like, you know, I can't remember which this is just a random example, but there's a Lady Gaga song where I actually think it's Dance in the Dark. And then at the end of it, you can hear her being like, yeah, like they just hit the recording, but they kept that in. Yeah. Like she's obviously just tracked it, and then she was like, yes, at the end, right at the very end. Yeah. And like something as small as that, it's like, I really like that. I really like it. And there's even things like, for example, because I often record on my actual MacBook microphone, just because it's the quickest and easiest thing. I really should just use this fucking microphone that I'm using right now, because it's probably a lot better. But just for the sake of, you know, but that's part of it. I'm like lying in my bed at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, I'm fucking with a loop, and I'm like, let me try and sing something over this. I'm going to just use my MacBook mic because it's there. I just have to fucking press record, and I don't need to worry about my position or like a pop shield or like anything like that. It's just, it's there, like in the moment, it's instant. And when I listen back to it, you'll hear sometimes, for example, like a little rustle before I start singing, or like there'll be like these things that just make it feel very like it was recorded in a bedroom, because it was. Like, and I think that there's this, like, you know, we want to be seen as, like, if you're a musician, that you're kind of like a professional, that you go to a studio and you kind of polish things up. And I said that to my friend that I told you that was suggesting, in very good faith, like, here's how you could kind of improve this. I said to him, but I kind of like the fact that it sounds like it was made in a bedroom, because it was. Like, because I'm not a fucking famous musician who's going to a studio. I work in an office 5 days a week, and I'm usually exhausted when I come home, and sometimes don't even have enough energy to make music. I literally am an exhausted, like, you know, 36-year-old man who's trying to just make something out of pure desire to make something. And that's part of the story that I used to really want to hide, because I liked the smoke and the mirrors and the stage persona of, like, you know, I'm this creature, this prophet, you know, and I come out onto stage and I do this thing, and then I kind of disappear into the mist. You know, there was like this this desire to separate my real self from my stage persona, and the older I get, the closer they become. And the older I get, the more I actually I feel this intense fear towards it, but I feel also this desire to show the fact that I am just a normal guy. In the sense that I'm like, I might be a little bit weird, but I'm not that different from anyone else. And in terms of being a creative, I am literally lying on my bed with the aircon on, because it's fucking too hot in summer in Tokyo, just trying to get some ideas out. And that in itself is part of I want it to become part of the story, but I'm scared for it to become part of the story, because then it feels too normal. And I think, you know, like, but then the complete irony of that is that that's what we relate to.
That's what's going to work.
That's what's going to work, because so many people are me. So many people
like,
are going to an office and they come back and they're exhausted every day. That's that's literally my daily life. I'm not some super cool guy doing, like, you know, like, it's just not the case.
It's such a trap.
Yeah, and I'm okay with people knowing that now. I feel like because that really is me. That's, you know, that it's not a constructed image. That's the real ugly truth of it. So maybe I'm beginning to think that maybe there's something in that, rather than having to create a world, or, you know, not necessarily that I don't like to create worlds, because that's not true. I do. But what I'm trying to say is, me as the artist and what I create, what am I trying to say? I think before I used to think that I had to be the art. Like, I was kind of making, like, you know, the way that I kind of designed things was that, you know, you saw my performances before where I was this character, and, like, and it was kind of like, and being that character was part of the art. I am the artwork, right? So it was very much like, literally, in my case, putting on a mask. And I've come to value the separation of art and the artist, and in the sense of, here's what I create, but actually I'm quite normal. Like, I'm like, I want there to be more relatability, I think, is what I'm trying to say. And because it's too, keeping up that persona was becoming exhausting, and it was actually alienating me from myself, I think, the more it went on.
Yeah, it's like you're not being yourself completely.
Well, you literally are not. Like, you know, like, if you're like a performer, like, anyone, like, it's like, it was like being an actor. That, I think that's kind of how I would, you know, when an actor takes on a persona or a character and then plays that, that's kind of what it felt like. But it was used as armor, for a long time because of how I felt about myself. But then the older I've gotten, and the more I've gotten to kind of know myself and kind of accept myself as my normal, boring, everyday life self, then that kind of defines me in a way that I don't have to try, because that's like fun. My actual life. And I think that really is, it comes down to that. It's like, just do what doesn't you don't need to try with, if that makes sense.
Oh, hell yeah. Like that, it goes back to like the content. Like for me, like with perspective with content, like content is your life's mixtape, or like your digital scrapbook. And like, it's not supposed to be pretty or perfect. It's just put it out there. It's not your portfolio of polished work, you know. And I think the portfolio of polished work, I don't really care about it. I don't think it's as important as people think. I think the more important thing is the journey, because the portfolio is the destination. It's just another trap of trying to jump to the top of the mountain and like thinking that the trail doesn't matter. But people want to hear the rustling in bed from like a tired 36-year-old man living in Tokyo. And
listen, everyone has a fetish. So if that's what they're into, if you're into the rustling, you pop off. Like, my content will be for you. If that's the case, you want bad MacBook mic recordings, I got you. I'll
send you my I think I have a OnlyFans affiliate link. I'll send you.
Oh my god. My OnlyFans is literally just bad mic recordings. Of me
somewhere.
Me with too much reverb on my voice, just like trying to be some kind of like enchanted monk at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, there's an audience.
Someone will fuck with it. Listen, you best believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that I've been so obsessed with the product, and yeah, like the finished product, the thing that you show. And obviously it's important to have something to show and to finish projects and stuff, but I'm not sure if like I'm not sure if that is actually the point. Well, like kind of like what you said, is that the real artwork? Because, for example, what we're doing right now, which, spoiler, is being recorded.
You lied to me.
I did lie. No, I didn't. I told you right in the beginning. I actually forgot that it was recording, though, to be honest, for like the last fucking however long it's been. But I think, oh my god, my knees. See, this is where, this is where the age starts to show.
You're doing Japanese style, oh boy.
Oh yeah, I'm fully on a cushion on the floor. What was I going to say? I think that for such a long time I've been really obsessed with, for example, like, I want to do an album. I've been like talking about this for fucking ages. And then like, because I start to think like this has to be, then that's where that comes in. It has to be like this. It has to be produced like this. It has to be da-da-da-da-da. And then
Control.
I'm like, then I just start to feel stressed out. That's also why I've started to think maybe there's two approaches to this. One is just literally lean into like just underproducing and just kind of like, you know, being like, okay, this sounds like kind of a vibe. This sounds like a demo. And maybe that's the benchmark, rather than like, maybe the benchmark is it sounds like a demo. Because that's a lot more achievable than it sounds like a finished, professionally done track. So that's one.
There's a lot of weight.
Yeah, that's one option. Then the other option is just fucking give it to someone else to mix it. Because like, it just takes all that away. It's like the fun part. Because I don't dislike mixing, because I think that mixing is basically part of the atmosphere creation of the track. So I think that in terms of establishing an atmosphere, but see, this is the thing. So like, I'm really great at that. Like, I'm really, really good at atmosphere. I think that's one of my key strengths, is that I know how to create a vibe.
Nice.
However, when it comes to like, when it goes from that, for me, that's the fun. When we're talking about fun, for me, the fun is making the vibe, making the environment, whether that's with my voice or whether it's with like huge fucking reverbs and things like that. I love that. Like, that's what kind of gets me off, like, musically. Then when it comes to like but now I have to make it sound well mixed, that's where I'm like, right, okay, so I know how to do that, but then it's not fun. Like, that's where, because that's where all the overthinking, should it be 1 decibel up, should it be 2 decibels up, should it be wide, should it be narrow, should it be mixed mono, should it be mixed stereo, should it be like this frequency, like should the vocals go up at 3.5k, should they go up at 4k, how's that going to work with, like, there's so many variables to that that I actually just start to kind of like overheat and then panic, and then it doesn't get done because there's too many things. I think, and I have friends who mix and friends who not only mix, they like mixing, because for some people actually, like, that's their thing. Like, they actually really like getting into the nitty gritty of compressors and stuff. I fucking hate it. I hate compressors. They drive me insane because there's so many settings, and I'm Italian now. There's so many settings that I get overwhelmed, and I'm like, oh, so how long should the release be? How, what? And then, you just get like into all these things. I just don't do well with that side of it. I do well with the burst of inspiration and environment, and like, that's where I thrive, and I know that I'm good at it. But like the stages beyond that is where it fucks me every single time. So I'm wondering, I think I'd like to take two approaches to it. One, kind of lower the bar, maybe start releasing demos, and being like, it's a demo, great. But then if I want to do like an actual album or something, I mean, the ultimate kind of like, boss move would be like, I release an album of demos. But then I can hear like the voice in my head being like, but you could get that well produced. Like, people who could do it. So that would be a waste if you didn't. It's like if I'm going to actually print and like do vinyl and things like that, which I really want to do, it's like I would want that to be well produced. I would.
Sure. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with well produced.
No, there's nothing wrong with well produced, but I think that there's a balance to be struck, and maybe it's also kind of like it all comes down to like a release of control. That's really like what it's about, because it's about either allowing yourself to release stuff that's not fully polished and allowing yourself to show that to people, or handing things off to people who actually genuinely get off over this stuff. Because I know that my friend Vander lives for mixing and mastering. He loves it. My friend Shinsuke, who mixed the first 2 singles, loves it. He loves it. I'm like you.
Mixing. I hate mixing. Like, I'm pretty sure that you're much better than me, because I can't even be bothered. Like, I'll start like learning it and tweaking it, and like I'm like, fuck it, just give me the vocal chain pack. Like, I'm just gonna throw that on here. Like,
slap it on. No, like, honestly, like, I think that the only reason why, the reason why I mixed my own stuff for so long was because, I didn't know anyone who could do it. So that was one. And second, I really felt like if I didn't do that, then I was somehow letting myself down.
Or you're more of a fraud. Like, like you don't...
Oh, you don't even mix your own stuff?
Yeah, like you don't...
And you're an electronic musician. You're an electronic musician, especially with electronic music, because, I mean, it's so common for electronic music producers to mix their own stuff. Because you almost kind of mix when you make electronic music. It's different from like a band recording where you might write and record and mix that. It's all very, very separated. With electronic music, everything's in the box, so you're almost kind of mixing as part of producing. They're almost inseparable processes. So to some extent, I mix anyway, but I think maybe my ideal is that I do a mix that's like, this mix has the vibe that I want, and then I bounce everything out kind of like that, and then I send it to someone else to polish it. Like, here's the baseline, here's the image that we're going for. Just make it sound a bit better for streaming or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, because that part, I don't care to learn it. I'm not that interested in it. I don't like, I've tried to watch tutorials for like compressors and limiters and things like that, and like to some extent, but I just get like, it feels like something that I need to do, not something that I want to do. I don't find it fun. I'm sure some people love like getting into the nitty gritty of like the difference between like A and B compressor. I couldn't give a fuck. As long as it sounds good, I don't care.
It's like spreadsheets or something. I hate it. It's not very fun.
No, it's exactly like that. It feels like doing Microsoft Excel or something equally as dull. I'm just like,
it's an FFX function.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah,
it's not fun.
Yeah.
So I think that's really like the sticking point for me. So when I think about like the album that I think I have, honestly, like pretty much, I mean, I would need to go and I would record vocals, like go into the studio and record them a bit better and stuff, but like in terms of the content of the album, I think I pretty much have it.
Yeah.
It's just that when I start thinking about like track list, then I'm like, oh, then that, and then like mixing, and blah, 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 and then that's where it starts to get kind of like, ugh. But like if I actually just, I really think, honestly, I think maybe the solution is just pass it over.
Yeah.
Like pay one of my friends and just be like, listen, how much is the album? Like fucking just take it away from me. Like just take it away. Like I've done my part. I've written it. Like, I feel like that should be enough, and I should allow myself for that to be enough, and it shouldn't feel like I'm being a failure by asking for help for the other part. Because just because you can do something doesn't always mean that you have to. Because
no way.
Technically I can do it, but is it going to cause me endless stress? I mean, I've already lost my hair. I don't need any more. That was probably due to mixing. But it's like you have to cut your losses at some point and be like, this just, if I don't need to do this, why am I doing it? And why am I putting myself through the ringer like this for some weird ego reason that doesn't even matter anyway? Like, and that no one pretty much ever recognizes who mixes a track anyway. It's a very thankless job, honestly. Like if someone mixes, like no one's like, oh wow, you did that, Like it's good for the mixer's portfolio, but people aren't thinking about the mixing engineer when they're listening to a song anyway. And that isn't to discredit their work, but it's just people are thinking about the song as a whole, not who did what in the song.
So true.
So
all of it, man. Like, I think the more you lean into the stuff that you like, drinks, the fun, the better your music's gonna sound. The more like you relinquish control. But when you end up doing it, for me, like it ruins the song because I don't give it the attention or the creative energy or the vibe flow it deserves. And if you're somebody that flows in mixing, then your mix is going to sound better than anyone, even if you know less, just because you have an ear for it. And I hate mixing, and every time I try to dabble in it, I think there's some things that are important and like to get it ready to so the production doesn't sound like garbage, because the mix can't fix that. But at the end of the day, it's like self-awareness. It's like an exercise. Music is an exercise self-awareness. Like, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? Double down on the strengths. And if you want to get better at weaknesses, that's great. But if you're looking for a win, just outsource it.
Yeah, I
or
think
demo it.
Yeah, I think like in terms of, because I've been told before, like, oh, you're really good at mixing, like other producers, and I'm like, I don't think so, but, I think I'm good at mixing, like, up into a demo stage, definitely,
Yeah.
and if I actually sit down and like really listen and stuff, I can actually mix fairly well, but. The thing is also being in Tokyo has changed everything, because I used to have studio monitors in my house. I used to have a proper setup, and like, I used to be able to really sit and mix, but it's headphone mixes for me now,
Yeah.
which is not really the same. So I would actually, rather just give it to someone, like do my mix, and then, pass that over to someone else, and be like, okay. Now take that, which is the foundation, and polish it, and then master it, like, because then it's like those tiny little decisions, like all the big decisions have already been made by me, and then the smaller decisions that I would take months to do might be better when it's a fresh pair of ears. It's not their own work, so they can be a little bit less precious with it, and that can help a work as well, just getting fresh pair of ears on it, and like, they're not scared to cut things that you maybe wouldn't, because you're too familiar with it. So I think it's the same way as an author has an editor before a book comes out. I think that sometimes that extra step is actually really necessary to have, because if you try and you can't be objective about your own work in that way. You're too married to it. So I think sometimes actually having that degree of separation, and someone taking on that role who's not the creator, in the same way an editor would for an author, like I just said, I think that actually might be healthy as well.
Yeah, super healthy. Yeah, I mean, every niche, every industry, every entrepreneur does that, right? Like, you can't do everything. And like, I guess like, especially a modern musician, it is a business in a way. Like, you're handling like, like the creation, the distribution, the marketing, the PR, all of it. So, I mean, of course you should outsource some of it.
Right.
And
yeah,
I think as artists, we think like we need to have control over everything, and we need to have like a creative mark or signature on everything. And if it's like out of the box or outsourced, it's somehow less ours. I mean, I feel that. Like, if I'm trying to think, like, even not necessarily plugins, but like samples. I struggle with samples, and I know they're really effective and great for, making it easy to make music, but also just like creative fun. But I still feel like it makes it less my song.
Like you're cheating or something like that.
Yeah, and like they've been around forever, and like there's so many amazing DJs that sample, and I'm like, I'm not saying you're not an artist. Like, I don't know. So I understand the control thing, and I think mixing is part of that camp, where it's like, yeah, but I didn't finish the song, did I?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is kind of what it feels like. Yeah, but I didn't actually fully finish that. Yeah, even though that's, it's ridiculous when you think about it.
Yeah.
But there is that kind of feeling of like, oh, I kind of cheated or something like that.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah, which is think of it like all artists, almost, especially like all like really well known famous artists and stuff. A lot of them, I would say the majority of them, do not mix their own stuff. It's like that's why you have mixing engineers. Yeah, or write it. So it really is a silly expectation, I think, to put on yourself, especially if you are, just a kind of an unknown artist. You know what I mean? It's like you're not going to be able to just do all this by yourself.
And it's not just an artist, you're like a multidisciplinary artist. So you have multiple projects, multiple things you're, as a full-time worker too. So like, that's a lot of like unnecessary expectation.
Yeah. But I think that's also what a lot of people, it's the same for a lot of people. Like a lot of creative people are living lives like this, where it's like they're kind of trying to squeeze it in around really busy schedules, and they have the dreams and the visions and everything, but sometimes it can be difficult to find the fucking energy. That really is just the truth of it, you know. But I think that's probably most creative people, rather than just a minority. I think most creative people are like, if they're still fighting, because a lot of people just give up because it is actually too difficult to do it at the same time as a full-time job. But other people who are like me, stubborn, and just relentless, because, well, if I don't do it, I'm going to get depressed.
Yeah, I get it's like a withdrawal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely withdrawal. Like especially with guitar for me, if I don't play guitar, I literally get shakes. I mean, not literally, but you know what I mean. It's like, it's physical.
Yeah,
it's like something visceral that needs to come out. So I get it.
Yeah, and if you don't, like, it literally will eat you from the inside out. Like, it will. I've done that before where I've not created anything at all, even if it was demos or whatever, and after like a few weeks, I'm like, I can't fucking deal with this, because my then that's all I've got is going to work, and doing my office job, which isn't fulfilling me creatively, obviously, because it's not in the creative industry. So if I don't have that sense of satisfaction of creating my own thing, then it gets pretty dark pretty quickly. So I think that's why it's really important, and maybe it's a good place to like wrap it up and kind of like bring it back around, just like we said, the importance of fun. Because if you think about it, if your day job is not something that you consider to be like super fun or super creative or whatever, like if your creative practice is also stressful, then you're really burning the candle at both ends, and it's just not going to feel satisfying.
Yeah, don't quit your 9 to 5 to get another 9 to 5. Even if like you convince yourself it's cool and fun, you're just stressed out.
Yeah. I mean, I think that really there's going to be some stress when it comes to producing any type of work. There's going to be some slightly less enjoyable parts of it, but I think it really should fundamentally be fun.
Follow the fun. Like there's so many amazing people that say that. Just follow the fun. And like, oh yeah. And I've been doing that with parts of my creative life, and it's working. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe there's something to it. It's like really cliche and annoying and easy, but somehow hard.
How do you think when just as like a final thing, like when you're creating this content and stuff that you're producing and it's coming out very effortless, like what in your approach has changed, like in terms of physically, how are you approaching it differently than you were before?
This is gonna sound maybe weird, or I don't know, but I'm trying to like listen to my heart and gut.
Okay.
Like, I've always overthought everything, and like,
yep, same.
And just getting the head out of it. Just like, shut up, brain. Like, we're just doing this because like I saw the way the light hit that building, captured it, and then like, oh, that sounds like this, and I just grabbed my guitar and it's fucking chaotic. But
so is it like, I don't know, you're going with just like the first thing that comes up, like you're not, you're just like, oh, okay, cool, great, that, and then
boom, yeah, there's maybe a second or third edit, like our draft, like with like the pictures and stuff, like literally I'm just grabbing my phone, like like I'm not like, I think there's part of me that like understands composition and all that stuff, so like maybe naturally I do frame it a bit, some things, because I do love like photography and everything,
right?
But and like that's where like the perfectionism has built skills over time of like copywriting and like composition and like little like, things that make it sound better, and they've kind of become second nature, so I can jump into a flow state with certain things that I do easier. But yeah, really it's just like no thinking, just do. And like I just like doodling in your sketchbook in high school, like no thought, I don't know, just do it. It's doodling.
Well, that's how I think maybe that's how I felt with the drawing as well, because I'm not really thinking about it. And it's allowing you to go into that kind of, I'll just kind of like do this shape and then I'll just kind of work with that, I guess. Which is so different from like, I must make a good song,
Yeah, that's
and then
too much pressure.
Yeah, it's too much pressure. So I really think that like, I think it's really cool that you've managed to just go into like a place of intuition. Because I think that's the most fun, is when you just kind of get an idea or whatever, and then you just, without thinking, you just run with it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, that's what came up. So, okay, that color I think is what would be best, so we'll just do that one, call it done. Like, not like, but we could also do this. And then that's when it starts to become this overthinking, torturous options, like...
Yeah. Because there's so many, like, I don't know if anyone's actually reading my captions, but they're all off the cuff. I did not plan any of it. Like, I just happened to, like, color grade heavy green on one of the photos. And then, like, I saw the electrical pole, and I'm like, oh, it's a tree. Trees are green. Oh. And then, like, it just turned into, like, things. So I think the more you just follow your intuition, serendipities and stuff will pop out. Some of it might be random and fucked, but, like, who cares? I don't know.
Well, I think that's the point. Is, like, because that's capturing, like, what the random and fuckery of the world and also creating within it. It's like, it is a lot of it's all randomness and fuckery, really. But yeah, allowing that though.
Exactly, yeah. And I just posted that. I think it was on my story. Basically, is another perspective on why AI doesn't steal creativity, because AI doesn't understand that making mistakes is kind of creative.
Yeah, and usually the mistakes are actually the fun part of what you do, ironically, even though we're trying to like avoid them so much. It's usually like the slightly fucked up thing that kind of kicks something off. So
yeah, exactly. Keep the moles.
Yes, 100%. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely try to. I did with that new demo. I felt like that's the state that I got into, where I was like, I literally didn't even think of lyrics before I started recording. I just recorded, and then whatever came out in that moment came out. And that did have a sense of satisfaction to it, because I didn't have to think about it. I think like the whole thing is like just not thinking.
Creativity is not a mind job.
Yeah, that's what editing is for. Editing is thinking. But creativity or like just getting the idea out should just be more like a flow. But sometimes it's easier said than done. But but I think that's been 2 hours.
Shit, I'm not surprised.
I think it has been again. No, me neither. But and I don't actually know if it recorded properly. I think it did.
Hopefully, there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and edit it, because it would take. It would take me weeks